Oh, she had apparently it takes about yeah. It'll actually just blank the screen out. That would be the she gave us some presents. I went there and studied on that because that was perfect. Did you try we got stuff. That was fine. With yeah, it's not. Yeah. Those black supporting, you gotta get those reported already. And your format is good. I understand both sides. Just like being right.
That's the whole reason I put the conference on.
It's really good. Yeah.
Cameras?
Get it back.
Oh, really? I got it
I think right.
on YouTube.
She would have played like
Oh, they just told me before it started. You're famous.
But that's what we need.
Yeah. The next.
But seriously, that's what needs to happen more.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other things going on. She was
Hey, it's 7:00. You know what?
Hey, you.
What's Andy was saying, like, so these students have done a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Now we.
I'll be introducing our next speaker as soon as he comes back in. I'm not sure if he wanted a running start or not, but feel free to the refreshments we have in the next room. I think we got like 10 gallons of beverages today because we ran a little low yesterday. So
Drink up.
bring your gold cups and fill them up. And I want to announce that the raffle drawing will take place immediately after our keynote speaker, Dr. Lenita Warjak, today. So I encourage everybody to keep buying the raffle tickets. There's some great prizes and also t-shirts. Our next presenter, Dana Wilson, is the vice chairman of the Apsalagak Crow tribe. He was born and raised in the mighty Few Wyola district on the southern part of the Crow Reservation. A member of the Big Lodge clan and child of the Bad War Deeds clan, Vice Chairman Wilson graduated from Lodge Grass High School and went on to the University of Montana, Missoula, earning a bachelor's degree in geology, excuse me. Those are two separate fields. Geology. He has since been in public service, serving on the Crow legislative branch for more than 10 years, later being elected as vice chairman of the executive branch. Since his election, he has been working tirelessly to see his vision come to fruition, pushing educational and vocational opportunities for all members of his tribe. Dana values and loves his culture, and he and his family participate in many cultural activities throughout the year. He is a firm believer that in order for a culture to exist, the language must be healthy. He holds the Crow language with the utmost reverence, and he will do anything in his power to preserve it. One of the highlights in his term is the successful oversight of the Montana Indian Language Preservation Pilot Program, MILP3. The MILP3 team developed a language application that is available free of charge from the Google Play Store and the Apple iTunes App Store. A solid work ethic and programism developed from his studies and his work in public service. He was proud to serve his people of the district honorably as a legislator and wishes to continue that legacy as the vice chairman of the Crow tribe. An avid horseman, he is also a husband and a father of 3 daughters, and envisions the kind of reservation he wants his children, as well as the children of others, to grow up in a strong, stable, healthy Crow nation. The best way to sum up Vice Chairman Wilson's vision is in a quote by Nelson Mandela. If you speak to a man in a language he understands, it goes to his head. If you speak to him in his own language, and you are speaking to his heart. We're very honored to have Vice Chairman Dana Wilson at our conference here. I know a lot of presenters have touched on the legislative part. So it's good to have an advocate of language in that legislative part, pushing forward and being a representation for everything that we're working for here. So without further ado, Vice Chairman Wilson.
Good afternoon, everybody. You know, I'm very humbled, and makes me feel really good to have been invited to this. You know, just you did it. You know, you guys, your team, doing an awesome job. You know, and I commend all of you guys on it. You know, and your family, your support. That's a great thing. You know, talk a little bit about me. You know, being a politician. Legislator, and then executive branch guy. And when I was growing up, I never thought that I'd ever be a politician, because growing up, you know, you see those politicians, they wore cowboy hats and they had big bellies and they talked all the time. And I wanted to ride horses and swim all the time, you know, and that didn't really jive. But you know, here I am. So does anybody want to hear me speak Crow? Not really. Well, there's only a few of you that probably understand Showdown. Shiat, but Chavik, Bish, Chillet, Bish Kaptu, Agar, Chur, Bago Biwak, and Bishil Spaghetti, Bilka, Bashil, Hashkum, the Sika, the Goblet Cha, and egg work by Lil Dill. And so I'd like to kind of introduce myself. My Crow name is Lucky Boy. from the Wildwood district of Chulabugu. That's a cliff. You know, it's like every other language. It's descriptive. You know, it's like Chulabugu means where the two places come together and it falls short. And I'm south of there. My dad, his name is Bashchila. My dad, he looks like a white guy. He's got white skin. He's got blue eyes. And my mother, the God, her name is she's a Crow lady, and we're from Walla, and I'm pretty lucky. My mother teaches the Crow language in my school, or in school that has done that for a long time. And you know, it's not quite, you know, cuts the wood. You know, I've toured that, and you know, it made me happy. You know, it almost, you know, to see those little kids, you know, they're speaking Blackfeet. They were speaking, you know, and then sign language too. I think I seen them. I learned something over there. You know, they'd go up there. They'd go like this.
Are you done?
You know, what does that mean? It's the outhouse, right? Or the bad house.
Bad
You want to
house,
go to
yeah.
the bad house. So, you know, I was here yesterday and I listened to a lot of people and they talked about Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs, and he's got a triangle. You know, and I'm not a psychologist. You know, he said I was a geologist. And you know, that's two different things, you know, but I'm always kind of thinking of things. And so I really took a lot of interest in Maslow in this thing, you know, and I was like, oh God, you know, how could that be? How could I do something to kind of for what I believe and what I think? And you know, it is just you know, like I said, I got a Bachelor of Science degree in geology, and I probably don't have no business talking about psychology, you know. But you know, this is what I come up with. I call it Dana's Circle of Life. And you know, unlike a triangle, you know, I think that 200 years ago, our people were like, no, Maslow, according to him, there's only like about 20% of everybody's reaches self-actualization. Only 20%, and the rest of the 80%, you're a grouch, you know, or you're in bad shape or you're whatever. So I came up with this because you know, life is it's not a linear thing. It's always moving. It's going. So I came up with the circle, and for a crow, your basic, like your esteem, love, safety, physiological needs. You know, a long time ago that was covered. You know, you were born, boom, you already had all that. You know, because of your family, your parents. If you didn't have parents, you had your clansmen, the tribe. You took care of all that stuff. And so then I added a couple more things to that. You know who you are. You know, when you get there, you know who you are. You know why you're here. Why am I here? What am I going to do with myself? You know, all these things. You know, it's constantly going, always in a circle. There's no beginning. There's no end. And once you get, you know, maybe you might reach self-actualization or whatever, and you're not. You know, you can't stay at the top all the time. You know, it's a climb. And then maybe something bad happens. Maybe your girlfriend goes out with your best friend or something or whatever, and you're gonna fall. You're gonna fall. But you know, you've been there before, so you're gonna know how to get back up there. And esteem, you know, self-esteem, how you feel about yourself is you know, we have a clan system, like, you know, pretty strong clan system. And your clan fathers, they give you a name, you know. So when you're born, when you turn 1 year old, you have a big feed, and you know, your parents go to a respected clan person that maybe did accomplished some good things, you know, like for us, you know, similar to the Blackfeet people, we're kind of a warrior type nation. And I was named by like a World War II veteran, his name is Joe Medicine Crow, and he gave me a name, and so he bragged. You know, when we don't brag about ourselves, our clan uncles. They brag about it, but at the same time, there's another part that you know you don't want to get too big-headed or too whatever. We have a teasing clan. And these guys, they tear you up, you know. So you said that word wrong, or you know, or hey, I see, you know, they watch you, you know. I see, hey, I seen you. You're really getting up there, and you're acting like you're real handsome or whatever. You walked out of the bathroom, and there was a toilet paper on your foot, dragging it around. And tell everybody that, you know, and that kind of keeps you, grounded, kind of keeps you in check. And somewhere in there, you know, you're taught to pray. You know, we have a creator that gives us life, that gives us, you know, everybody, everybody's born with the same set of tools. You know, we all got a tongue, we got eyes, we got a set of hands. You know, you're able to do things with your hands. And, you know, you get up in the morning and you get ready for the day. You know, you get up early in the morning. I was told that successful people get up early and you pray and you get ready for the day, and you know, wash your face, you take a bath, you know, because hygiene, you know, if you're clean, it kind of relates to well-being, because you respect yourself, you respect what you look like, and respect is kind of an earned thing, you know. I respect you, you're going to respect me, but how could you respect somebody else if you don't have any respect for yourself? And so with that esteem, you know, we had goals, and every tribal member or everybody should have a goal. And 200 years ago, you know, maybe your goal was to go up to Blackfeet country and get a nice looking Blackfeet woman, or get some horses or something, you know. That you know, the time you're a little boy, that's what I want to do. So how am I going to do that? You know, like how am I going to do that? So you know, maybe you tell your dad, hey, like that, I want to do this. How do I get there? He's going to say, okay, let Chogan go, you know, pray about it. Chokbug. And he said, well, I want you to go and just don't take nothing with you. Take your sleep, your buffalo robe, and go way over here on that high point, and go up there and you know, build a circle, and stay up there for 4 days. Don't drink any water. Don't eat. Don't sleep. Stay up there for 4 days, and I like. You know, maybe the Great Spirit is he might help you do what you want to do. And you go up there, 9, 10 years old. I mean, when I was 9 years old, my mom wouldn't let me go to the river by myself, you know. So, you know, you look at that was 200 years ago. And maybe these guys, these little boys, the first time they went, maybe they might not have got nothing. You know, maybe they just got cold and rained out or whatever. But they stayed up there. They came back down, and you know, his dad said, "Good to show God." You know, and he said, "Shucks, I didn't see nothing." He said, "Okay." I said, "Maybe you gotta pray harder next time." That kid he might be bummed out, and he said, "Oh God." But shucks, man, I really want a Blackfeet woman. I want a Blackfeet woman, and then now I want a good roan horse that's fast. Might be one up there. They said, okay, well, man, go back up there and do what you did again. So he goes up there, and then this time on the third night, boy, this little boy, 9 years old, he'll get a helper. He'll get a dream. And in that dream, that whatever it is that helps him, might be some kind of a being, might be a stars, it might be lightning, it might be a little bird, you know, it might be an ant. Something's gonna have pity on him, because you know, my God, he's nice, and he's gonna take pity on a 9-year-old child that wants something. So he said, okay, well, your heart's good, we'll have this guy help you. So he's given something. whatever it is, he's gonna have a dream and he's gonna have something made and along with that comes, you know, big responsibility. You know, I don't know how many people you have or bundle, you know, they carry bundles. And these bundles, doggone, you know, there's all kinds, that's a big responsibility that not everybody can handle. You know, like maybe you can't eat kidneys. Maybe you can't eat raw kidneys. Man, myself, man, I love raw kidneys. So, you know what, maybe I better not have that. Or maybe you can't, you know, whatever rule comes with that. You know, there's big responsibility involved in carrying a bundle. So we had, at a young age, our people were given, they were taught responsibility. And so that was that. And then education, you know, we have education. Yeah, it's a cognitive thing, cognitive needs. You need to, you know, what am I going to do? I know how to go and get Blackfeet women. I know how to get, you know, good horse, you know, but man, that's not all there is to life. You know, maybe I want to do something else, or maybe I want to make a bow or make something. So they learn these other things, you know, herbs, healing, hunting, how to take care of a horse, just how to basically survive. And that was education, because you know, at any time, you know, you never know what's going to happen. You know, every day you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know, maybe you might get attacked by somebody, or you never know. So you're always ready. You're always there, or whatever. You're ready to battle. And you know, a lot of times, like white people come and they kind of think you're lazy. You know, they kind of think, you know, shit, these guys are lazy, because you know, men, that time you hunted. Went and stole horses and stuff like that, but told stories, and that was about it. You know, I mean, there wasn't really, but you're all ready to fight. And these white guys that seen that, they said, doggone, these guys are lazy. You know, they don't do nothing. They sit around and smoke cigarettes and tell stories and, you know, BS each other. But if we were lazy, you know, shucks, man, we wouldn't be here today. None of us would be here today. But we had to fight for everything we had. So, the next thing on there is aesthetic things. You know, aesthetic needs is you know, the beauty of your surroundings. You know, I come here. I went up to Brownie here this past summer, and man, it was, you know, beautiful. You know, man, you go up there, it's really nice here. My home, when I go to Wyowa, I live at the foot of the Big Horn Mountains. You know, man, it's nice there. But when I go into Croix, you see, oh God, man, pretty ugly here. You know, there's a bunch of junk cars there. There's a bunch of dogs. One time I seen a dog that was laying on the side of the road. I'm getting sidetracked here, and I do that sometimes. But there was a dog laying on the side of the road, and kind of going on. My kids, hey, look at that dog, dead. And then there was these other dogs were eating it up. That dog was dead, and the dog was laying there, and I said, "Holy cow, look at that!" Then they were kind of looking, and near that dog that they're eating, he picked his head up and watched this guy fly. He wasn't even dead yet. And, going back to this, still, kind of that don't jive with the aesthetic and beauty stuff. I don't know what my mind kind of looks like. So, you know, getting back to hygiene, aesthetic, you know, taking care of yourself and not getting too. I'm a little bit kind of heavy now. I used to be. They used to call me Woody. Toy Story. They used to call me Woody, but they can't call me that. But you know, taking pride in how you look. 200 years ago, there's no lie. A Crow man braided his wife Sarah. He braided his wife Sarah, and he braided his daughter's hair. And that was kind of the thing that, you know, these women, they had real nice straight braids. You know, that was kind of their pride. You know, my husband made me look nice. The flip side too is, you know, a good woman would beat her husband's stuff. You know, have a real nice outfit, and their kids, they all look nice too. And that was something that we take pride in. And a lot of people, we still do that today. Dustin Monroe, not here, but, he's like, you know, he's kind of my friend all the time, you know, he went to school here and, kind of see and visit and whatnot, and he was, asking me something about politics and just kind of joking around with him. He said, hey, I said, you know what, hey, I don't want to talk about that, 'cause I'm humble, you know, I don't want to talk about that. Kind of asked, you know what, I'm so humble that I gotta tell people that I'm humble, you know. I gotta remind myself that I'm a humble man. But, you know, my uncle told me one time, was, when you go out in public, you know, dress nice, wear nice things. And, you know, when a guy looks, you know, nice, you know, you're gonna get respect. You know, you might be like me and be full of it, but you know, if you look nice, you know, they say, hey, that guy must be kind of must know something. And you know, you're more respected until they get to know you, until they get to, and then they say, oh, don't listen. And then, you know, as I said, I'm a horseman, and you know, I was taught, you know, your horse has got a soul, he's got pride too. So, you know, don't just put anything on his back, and don't just put anything in his mouth, because you know, your horse, you want him to have pride. And also, you know, I was told that good horseman, you're a good family man too, because you take care of the horse, take care of your family, and you're kind of a good guy. So, and then you reach self-actualization. That's here. It's like I said, it's kind of a spiral thing. And then by doing this, they call it transcendency. This was somebody tweaked Maslow's theory, and theirs looked like a triangle. But mine's like this. But transcendency is when you help somebody to become the best that they can. You know, it might be a little brother, it might be you know, somebody, it might be anybody. You know, just, you know, try to help anybody out, because you know, you do that and you help somebody out, you know, without expecting anything in return. You know, somewhere down the line, you know, the God, creator, whatever, he's going to help you out. He's going to do something good for you. So treat people good. They say some of the characteristics of people that reach self-actualization is, so this is Maslow's thing here. Some of the characteristics of somebody that's up here, according to Maslow, is they perceive reality efficiently and they can tolerate uncertainty. So it's okay. You know, you're not going to get all stressed out about tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and it's not going to bother you. You're just going to go to bed and hope for the best. The other thing that they do is they accept themselves and others for what they are. You know, I might be a BSer, I might be full of it, but you know, if you accept me, that's cool. You know, that's how it is. Spontaneous in thought and action. And you know, you're able to act on sudden impulse without any premeditation or external stimulus. You know, you just jump up and say, you know what, hey, I'm going to go down to the Oxford and get a steel reserve and play cards. You know, I mean, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to do that without anybody saying, hey, come on, let's go over there. You know, you're problem centered, so you focus on a problem instead of yourself. You know, you're not self-centered. You say there's a problem. Like, we have all kinds of problems. I'm sure that every reservation in the state of Montana, or probably in the United States, they got a problem, and you know, we need to focus on a problem instead of focusing, hey, look at me, you know, look at what I did. You know, another one is they have an unusual sense of humor, and you know, I'm going to share a story with you. We had it's clean, it's not dirty. I know some of you might be a little bit disappointed that it's not dirty, but it's so we had a chief. His name was Medicine Crow, and this was like at right at it was at the very beginning of the reservation days, and so Billings was already a town. Billings was a town, and you know, whatever. And some Sioux came over and they stole a whole bunch of. They stole all those white guys' horses. They stole all the Crow horses, and Crows couldn't go after them. They couldn't do nothing to get their horses back or nothing. So they're on foot, and what should we do? So then the white guys went to them and said, hey, you know, you guys go get you know, could you get our horses back? And I said, all right, well, we're gonna get ours back, and yeah, go ahead, go. So, it was in the winter time, like cold, freezing cold. And, some of those white guys tried to go with them, and I said, you know, you probably wouldn't be able to hang, but, you know, you wanna come, that's cool. So they came, and they couldn't hang, so they went back to Billings. Those crows went over there, and they caught them somewhere by, maybe Glendive or somewhere over there, and bunch of horses. And they had kind of they had a little fight. They had a skirmish, and they got their horses back. No crows. None of them guys got hurt or hurt too bad. They might have got scratched up, but they came back. And you know, for some reason, this medicine crow, he knew that we thought that was kind of a weird thing. Those white people, they like to shake hands, you know. And maybe he didn't want to touch a white guy's hand. He don't know what he's been touching or whatever, so he didn't want to shake his hand. So he cut off one of those Sioux guys' hand. It was frozen. He put it wherever. And he came back, and they're driving those horses in the Billings, and boy, those white guys, they're all happy. Ah! They opened up a big corral, and they're driving them in there. And this white guy went up to him, and he said, man, hey, I'm really happy. And he stuck his hand out, medicine crow. He had that dead guy's cut off hand, and he shook it out, and he gave it to him. And then when that guy was going to shake his hand, he let go of it, so he had a dead guy's hand. I guess he screamed and fell over and made it nervous. But you know, that kind of stuff. I mean, that's funny. You know, to me, I think that's really funny. And you're able to look at life objectively, you know, like look at it without, you know, you make decisions based on the common good, not based on what you think. And you look at the facts, and you kind of disregard your personal feelings whenever you're making decisions. And you're resistant to acculturation, but you're not purposely unconventional. You hold fast to your beliefs. You have a strong constitution. Another story was Father De Smet was a Catholic priest that came over to teach all the savage heathens and Indian people about God. And Father De Smet was sitting there, and he was talking to these crows story about 10 commandments. Okay, so can't do this, can't do that, can't steal, can't take off with your buddy's wife, can't do all these things. And you know, these crow guys are kind of talking about it. And that chief, he got up and he said, you know what? In order for me to become a chief, I had to break all 10 of those. It's okay. So, we'll talk a little bit about trying to find, you know, help people reach, you know, become the best that they can be. And so that was then. And today, you know, we have something that looks like this. Very few people reach this. You know, there's they said 10%, whatever, 20%. But you know, now, you know, it's hard for a kid to get any of these physiological needs because we have problems like meth. We have alcohol abuse, pain pill. We have these bad things, and it's hard for them to feel safe when, you know, your dad might be bringing home his creepy meth head buddies, you know, and you can't sleep, and you can't be safe in an environment like that. Homelessness, and it's hard to feel love. You know, love doesn't need to be like in a romantic sense. You know, it doesn't need to be because you know, you have a love for your mom, your kids, your horse, your dog, your fish, whatever. You know, you love that, and that, you know, you need to have that. You know, they say love is a powerful. It's a powerful thing. There are a couple different things that can cause PTSD, and love is one of them. You know, you can get your heart broken. They say that you could develop PTSD from having your heart broken, and it's not safe to love somebody that's gonna die on you. You know, like somebody that it's not safe to do that. And you know, like I talked about medicine one knows, and you know, a lot of times some of these guys, I don't have one, but you know, some of these guys that do carry these medicines, you know, they have war and love medicines are kind of the same. They're the same thing. And you know, it's hard to live today when you have all these problems that everybody has. And you know, we do our best, you know, like our culture ways, you know, there's no way that any of us could go back 200 years ago, man, you know, things would be great, but we can't. So the best I could do as a parent is, you know, when my kids go to school, I don't know what they're gonna do when they walk out that door. You know, they might cookie bob, or they might suck gas or whatever, but you know, I don't know, but I hope that they don't. I hope that they go to school and learn whatever it is that they need to learn, and you know, come back home safe, and they don't bring any hitchhikers with them. You know, hitchhikers, meth, lice, you know, these bad thoughts. You know, you don't want that. And in the 1920s, you know, previous to that, there's only a few crows that had a high school diploma. I can't remember where it was. I used to know, but there's just a few of them that had a high school diploma. But you know, myself, you know, I got educated, and it's different kind of education than I would have got 200 years ago. But I mean, I'm still fighting battles. I'm fighting language law. I'm fighting land law. I'm fighting math. I'm fighting, you know, all these things. So, you know, that's my education. That's my contribution to, you know, how can we fix this? What are we gonna do? Self-esteem. You know, I can't steal anything. It's like I just can't do it. So how do we try to get self-esteem? Is you know, my uncle told me to do what men do. You know, play hand game, throw arrows, ride bucking horses, mess around with race. You know, mess around with horses. So you know, you have some stories to tell, and you know, something to tell your kids. You know, hey, you know what that is, what we did, and you know, our responsibility was taken away. You know, like the government took away our way of life. Took away we couldn't hunt buffalo, we couldn't follow buffalo, we couldn't do this, and all of our responsibilities were stripped from us. And you know, right now, honest to God, it's sad to say, you know, I got relatives that are, you know, 50-year-old men that aren't even responsible enough to pay their light bill. You know, and that's sad. That's you know, doggone, man, come on, you know. And they come around, they're looking for handouts, and you know, you want to help them, but at the same time, you know, am I really helping this guy or am I enabling him? You know, and you know, sometimes we love our people, kind of almost love them to death. You know, our heart's good, we want to help them, but at the same time, you know, man, we're just allowing them to continue to be irresponsible. So I'm battling my cultural loss. You know, like. We were part of the mill, and we developed a language app. And you know, not to brag or anything, you know, but it's really the best one that I've seen. It's got phrases, stories, songs. You know, a lot of our songs is like, you know, every tribe like that. People were given these songs, and even like. Gospel songs, you know, some of these people, they you know, they have stories behind these songs, these lullabies. They have stories behind the meaning. When you know, maybe a woman lost a child and she just, you know, tore up, and they mourn, they cut their hair, and they go out and they cut a finger off, and they just go out there and pray. And, you know, maybe, you know, they might have seen, they're given something too, you know, the creator pities these people and says, you know what, I'm gonna help you cure a colicky baby. And he's gonna give her the song and the lullaby song and give her this thing or to cure earache or ear infection. They're giving these things. So this app that we did, it's available on, it's free Android and Apple devices. We had some immersion camps, or one immersion camp, and we had these kids go and they're just kind of immersed, and we had every day we'd have somebody come up and do a different thing. We had girls make moccasins, and then boys were making arrows and throwing arrows, and then everybody would come together, and then they'd learn sign language, and you know, it was really good. These kids sure learned a lot, and they were. At first, we were kind of afraid because the target age was I think 12 years old on up. And a lot of these guys, they've never been away from their mom for a while. And they're like, oh, shoot, man, what is it? But man, they loved it. And we got our funding from the state, and you know, we did a survey with that money. This part was kind of the part that I was really involved in, was the survey. And so we found out that according to the survey, it was done, you know, scientifically. You know, we did a random generation, and you know, people were selected randomly. You know, I mean, as random as you could get off the voters list from each district. So we went to each district. So, and we're at 28% fluency according to the survey. In 1969. There was a survey that was done. I think we were like 89% fluency. When I went to school in Waiala, we were probably about maybe 90%. And now I don't think. Well, my mom teaches there, and those kids aren't fluent, but they know a lot. They know a lot of words, a lot of song. And so the reservation, it's broke up in 6 districts. This is my district here. And we actually have 33% fluency, which is better than the rest of the reservation. Closest one is Reno District. That's where Croatia is. Lodge Grass, 26%. Black Lodge, 23%. Bighorn, 24%. And Pryor is 28%. And kind of a side note, you know, we compete. Hand games, rodeos, arrows. We always compete in. You know, Waiala, we're always kind of a little bit, we win all the time. Our district always say it in Crow, Zigo Shtagat, Chacha. It means mighty few, because there's so few of us there. There's only, you don't have very many people there, but shucks, you know, we always kind of tear it up. So we tear it up in, you know, these cultural things. And then when they came out with No Child Left Behind, anybody know No Child Left Behind? So we always knew that we were smarter than everybody else, but that No Child Left Behind proved it, because we actually met AYP there. None of these other guys did. That's true. So this is the language app. That's Joe Medicine Crow. He's 103 years old. World War II combat veteran. He actually, in order to become a chief, you gotta do 4 things, 4 dangerous things, and he accomplished all of them. One of them is hand-to-hand combat, you know, taking the enemy's weapon away from him. He did that in Germany. He took a German guy's rifle away from him. Another one is leading a successful war party and coming back, everybody coming back unscathed. He did that. He took a bunch of ammunition across enemy lines, him and some other guys, and you know, they were under all kinds of heavy fire, but they made it over there and they made it back unscathed. Just when the war was almost over, the Germans were hiding, and they had those SS, those German SS officers. They had some real nice horses. They ride horseback, and he actually went into the corral and scattered the horse. He jumped on one. He scattered all the horses, so he stole the horse. And he did all. He actually did everything to become a chief. He's probably the last Crow guy alive that actually accomplished that. And he must be doing. Of course, like everybody, I know that everybody, they have people that shucks, he's full of it. I mean, even me. But he must be doing something right because he's 103 years old and he's still going. But this is our app. Some of these things, the animals, body parts, colors, and you could hear it being said, and then you could also practice and record yourself, and then you could play it back and hear stuff. And we have like songs and everything on there. And these are some pictures that we had with at the immersion camp. Those are kids. Those are arrows that they made, and I think crows are the only ones that do arrows. And what you do is you have a target arrow, and each guy has 2 arrows. And what you're doing is you're throwing that target arrow, and then everybody else tries to hit that target arrow or get as close as you can to it. And then whoever gets closest to it, they get to throw the target arrow, and you go up to like about 15. But man, there's like a bunch of guys that throw it, and it's fun. But man, I don't have it's like everything else. Some people are into it, some people aren't. It's but these kids, they learn about that. And so wait, before I don't want anybody to ask me any questions. So I've been to a lot of consultations. John Fester. I went to the government folks' office, kind of trying to push my language. I want you to help me. And he said, "What do you want?" And I said, "Well," I told him, both of them. I said, "Give me a few $1 million. Give me about $5 million, and let me build a boarding school, and we'll have all these kids go, and then whenever they speak English, we'll beat the hell out of them." And they didn't think it was a good idea. So, my focus now is, after we got the results of the survey, another survey that we did was, there's about 56% of the population, they understand. They understand it, but they don't speak it. They understand, like speak Crow to them and then they'll do it. But they won't, you talk Crow to them and then they'll answer you back in English. So that's my focus. That's what I'm trying to do is get these guys to become fluent speakers, and they can, but like a lot of it is, somebody talked about shame, they're kind of bashful to say, and I've seen it, I've, got even taken part of it, like somebody that don't speak Crow, and then they say something, well, that's not how you say it, like that, and I sure never did that, but, God, some Indian kids are mean. And then too, with the app, I think it's great, but of course, you're always going to get ridiculed by some old smart guy that you said that wrong, or that's not how you say it, but I think everything's going to be like that. You got to be able to take them. And I was thinking about religion. They were talking about religion and all the Catholic. I can't remember who it was. They said the Catholic told them not to speak their language. But shucks, we're kind of lucky. We have a Catholic priest that's fluent in Crow, and he does his mass in Crow. And he goes in a sweat. There's another kind of side story. There's this Catholic priest. He speaks Crow, really fluent Crow. Does his mass in Crow. He likes to go in a sweat, and they had a sweat, and that Catholic priest came and he wanted to run the sweat. And that Indian guy, who's the guys whose sweat it was, he said, "Okay, you wanna run the sweat?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "All right, I'll let you run the sweat, but on Sunday he let me do the math. Yeah, he wouldn't do it, so, and then, you know, these, Pentecostals, so we have like three kind of Christian religions there, Baptist, Pentecostal, and, Catholic. They call it Catholic, Itash, that means black robe, it's the scripted language. Pentecostal, they call them Barsha, means they put oil on them. And, there's a lot, you know, there's a lot of Pentecostal preachers that they preach in Crow, you know, they, you know, I was at a funeral one time. I don't like to go to funerals either, you know, but I happened to be at a funeral, this Pentecostal guy, and it kind of took a long time. And that preacher, he'd speak, he was preaching in Crow. But you know, that kind of made sense, you know, it made more sense. You know what I mean? I understand English. You know, I understand English. And as he's saying in Crow, you know, that's to be getting. No, that's to be getting. He was kind of talking about this individual and he was describing their life. And I was like, hey. And this was like about maybe 5 years ago, you know, I was like, damn it, that you know, that made sense when he said it that way. And, you know, that's kind of why I like that. I like that quote, Nelson Mandela, you know, you speak to a guy in his own language, you're talking to his heart. So, okay, now I'm ready for questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you were doing your study on that you did on the fluency of the Crow language, did you interview only the tribal members who live on the reservation, or did you interview the whole tribal membership on that?
Both, because we went off of each district. Each district has a voter, a registered voters list. So some of the people that live in Wyola, they vote in Wyola. They live in Billings, or some of them live in Harkin, or some of them live, you know, elsewhere. So it was both. Yeah, and it was totally random. And we did it that way because, you know, like you said, you know, to try to appease everybody, they're going to say, well, that's a bunch of BS because how do they know that? How come they didn't interview me? You know what I mean? It was kind of a random thing. Any other questions?
Who did you contact to get your app with Apple?
We went through Thornton Media. Thornton Media was.
How did you find each other? I mean, you just called somebody and then.
Well,
Because
you
that
know.
one's pretty big, and that's pretty important that you find them.
Okay, I'm gonna share something with you. You know, I think now all the other tribes are. We went with Thornton Media first, I think, and then every other tribe that was on, I think they started kind of going that way. I might be wrong, but my wife went to NIEA about how many years ago? So she went to NIEA 2010 and she seen them guys. She's passionate about her language too. She was a wild Indian until she met me. She couldn't speak English too good, and I taught her how to use a fork and spoon. But you know, she's passionate about her language. She seen that they had a booth. You know, when you go to these conferences, you know, people have booths there. At the time, I think it was on one of those little Nintendo game deals, one of them type of deals, and man, she got, hey, look at this, and then she tried to sell it to the school district, Missoula, and you know they didn't want to do it. She even took it to the tribe, our tribe, Crow tribe, and at the time, man, they didn't want to hear it. You know that. So then that's part of the reason that I said, you know what, I'm going to get elected, and I'm going to make sure that we do this language app. She found it in I think it was in Minnesota or someplace like that. The guy, he's Cherokee, like a Cherokee Indian, and his wife's like a smart, really smart Oriental type lady that kind of helps him. So
And you give them the language and then they build it?
No, they actually come on site. They come on site and they say, okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with it? You know, and you know, there's a lot of work that's involved in you know, her team. So I put her to work. I hired her and I said, okay, you know, handle it.
Like after you taught how to use the spoon for.
So yeah. So they came up with a bunch of phrases and however they wanted to, you know, like how do you say bird? How do you say this? And then like objects, places, even like weather, spiritual beings, you know, it's much, but like I said, it's just a basic, a beginner app. And I mean, I have it here. Pass it around if anybody interested in just checking it out. I mean, she's got it too, but it's got songs on there, you know, different songs, and you know, how do you say like give me some water, or how old are you, or let's go to the river, or you know, just these simple things. And I say it's a beginner because, like I said, these our language is descriptive, and you know, instead of saying like shucks, you threw me off, man. But yeah, it's, you know, it's descriptive language, so like ilala, like car, like how we say car, it's ilala. And when somebody that don't know that's just not learning, when they say ilala, they picture a car, which it is a car, but what it means is something that goes by itself. You know, that goes back to the horse and carriage days when they used to have a team, and then it'll drag the wagon or whatever it was. And so now, you know, it just means something that goes by itself without being pulled by a horse, and like that. That's the second part of it. I think we're still developing it as you know, as we go along, because it's never been done before. And you know, we run into these hitches, we run into, you know, people that said, that's not wrong. I said, well, shucks, show me something better. You know, show me how to do it. You know, I mean, I can take criticism, but you know, you better show me something better. Otherwise, you know, just don't say anything. Any other question? Comments?
I'd just like to add that in the Wyola school, I'm from the same district as he is. So when his mother is the cultural teacher, she's very, very good at what she does. She teaches them the songs, their clans, stories about the districts and why they're called what they are, you know, with the grade school kids. But they have that app because I substitute teach the pre-K kids every once in a while, and they have an iPad time, and it's on those iPads. So we give them to the students and let them bring that up, you know, and then they can go play with whatever part of the app that they want, like the animals or the seasons or whatever. And it's really, really neat to watch the little tiny kids, you know, and so they are getting a double dose with the live teacher, but then they've got the app to help follow them, you know, up, and they get to spend an hour at a time on that. So it's really, really a neat tool. I just wanted to add that for him.
I got one more story. So I don't know how many of you guys know Thomas Ray Oak. Some of you guys know him. I mean, I know him, but you know, he's a crow, so I don't really. But he's you know, he's my friend all the time, and you know, he's fluent too. He's fluent in crow, and he's, you know, for those of you that know him, he's kind of crazy. You know, he's kind of a wild, crazy guy. He used to be hooked up with this girl from another tribe, and he said that Thanksgiving they all jumped in there and went with his girlfriend, and they went to her place, and her mom said, "Okay, Thomas, I'd like you to pray. I'd like you to pray in your language." And he said, Thomas don't pray. Well, maybe he does, but I think so. So it's kind of sad. But accept that. They said, oh yeah, okay, got back. What's good? Then she had to walk it. Be one of the He said that, yeah, God, thank you for everything. I'm sitting here in this other tribe's house. I know that they probably don't like me, and how come I'm even with her? I don't know. Maybe you could help me. He got kicked out. And, so yeah, if you guys, hopefully you guys learned something. If not, hopefully you're entertained a little bit. I did my best.
I'd like to make a last announcement. The raffle drawing will take place directly after our next presenter, which is our last keynote presentation. So get your raffle tickets while you can. We're going to take a short break and we'll reconvene at
You have it set for 3:30.
3:30. So the refreshments have been filled. Fill up your cups one last time. We'll hear one more great speech.
No, it should.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right now.
And she said she would set it up.
Oh, okay. I'll track her down.
Oh,
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, must be somebody else doing it.
I know it's,
Oh, I heard it.
Nice day out. You guys see Oh, really? Yes. And I think that's what she
All right, we'll start in 1 minute.
So fun.
Okay, Nick Quacks. A final announcement, the raffle drawing will be taking place directly after our keynote speech. We're gonna stick with the schedule. I'd like to introduce our keynote for today. Lenada Warjack is a member of the Shoshone-Bannock tribes, where she lives on the Fort Hall Indian Reservation in Idaho. She attended the University of California at Berkeley and graduated with honors in the independent major of Native American law and politics. While a student at UC Berkeley, Lenada participated as the Native American component of the first ethnic studies program in the UC statewide effort to establish Native, Black, Chicano, and Asian studies. In 1969, Lenada and other students throughout California took over Alcatraz Island in a peaceful protest of the federal government's ill treatment of Native American people and broken treaties with tribes. This facilitated certain subsequent government-funded policies for Indian tribes nationwide while recovering millions of acres of Indian land back. Pursuing enforcement of treaty obligations and Indian rights, Lenada was on the founding board and executive board of the Native American Rights Fund for nearly a decade and maintains a current relationship where she has been involved in fundraising efforts. Lenada has been an elected councilwoman for her tribes and served on many boards, both locally and nationally. In 1985, she co-wrote organized Tribal Survival Ecosystems and received her certificate in permaculture design from the International Permaculture Institute, Tasmania, Australia. Dr. Warjack completed her graduate work at Idaho State University with a master's in public administration and a doctorate of arts degree in political science, Pocatello, Idaho, in 1999. Dr. Warjack served as the executive board for the Shoshone-Bannock tribes for 3 years, and presently the president of Indigenous Visions Network. She has worked as a special tribal judge in the Shoshone-Bannock tribal courts in Fort Hall, Idaho, and taught classes in Native American history at Craigton University in Omaha, Nebraska. Lenada is presently editing her book publications this fall, 2015, and we are very excited to read it. Without further ado, this is like my second mother, Lenada Warjack.
Thank you, Jesse. I guess, did you ever get that sound system set up for?
Microphone is set up for the YouTube.
Okay, well.
Do you need to be louder?
All right, I did want to mention my book. It's called Colonization Battlefield, and hopefully it'll be out before the end of this year. I'm just really working to get that done. And I believe there's an address right there. So if you are interested, I'm in the pre-sale process right now. I want to thank Jesse and everyone here at the language program for inviting me. I'm so honored to be here. And I did want to mention that I am one of the illegitimate tribes of Montana. Have you ever heard of Bannock City? It used to be the capital of Montana. And they took all the gold, and of course, Bannocks got out of there, the ones that were left. And so if you ever go through Dillon, you'll see where it says Bannock State Park or something. That was one of our areas in there. My great-grandfather was Bannock. He signed the treaty, which was another band of Bannock, and so that's how we got our reservation in Fort Hall. So that's where we're currently located. And I guess I'll go ahead and start the program if you want to go ahead. We're talking about decolonization, but before we can talk about that, we need to know what colonization is. So this is a lot of Western kind of thinking in how they're defining decolonization. So what I would do is just go over here to the end here. What we're talking about is the overturning of a colonial structure and realizing Indian liberation. So that was one of our quests quite some time ago with when I was at the University of California, where we initiated, well, we called it Third World Studies at the time, which is Indigenous Nation Studies today. And that's why we have Native American Studies programs today. It went throughout California immediately because we're at Berkeley, and whatever we do there, it goes statewide. And after that, then we went out to Alcatraz Island and liberated the island in protest of the genocide, broken treaties, and everything else. So if you can go on. Oh, I've already talked about that. That's the name of my tribe, the Naquat. They could never pronounce it right. So this is my father, by the way. So it really wasn't that long ago. He did go through the boarding school. And here's that. I took that picture on the way over, and it was really fast. And then this is my great-grandfather, the one that signed the treaty. So we're not very far from our indigenous culture and our roots. But unfortunately, I didn't get to learn the language because my parents were out of the boarding school system where they were not allowed to speak the language, although they were trilingual and they did speak the language, but they would not teach it to us because they didn't want us to get punished for speaking the language the way that they were punished. So we were not able to, well, we would listen to the language. They spoke Bannock, and they also spoke Shoshone and English. So whenever we would start listening and trying to catch on to the words, they would just switch languages on us. We'd be a little confused about that. So we do know some of the language, but the easiest language for me to learn was Shoshone, so I do speak some Shoshone. And Bannock is pretty much a lost language because there's so few left. There's only two men that came out of that last Bannock War out of the Idaho with the Sheep Eater campaign. And so they had 2 children. One was lost, one lived, which was my great-grandfather. Yes, and so that's why we're alive today. So I don't have very many relatives on my reservation because I am Bannock. Sorry about that, forgot. So what we're talking about here, where we came from, and I want to go to the tree of life. Oops. You can go backwards. Okay, what this is the tree of life, and the base of our tree would be our matrilineal system, which is the natural laws that we practiced. And we knew it, everything on here, you know, how they all connected and how it encircled, and that's the way that we set up our governing systems as well. And because we were all on the same level, but we were all necessary and needed. We need one clan to support the next clan that supports the next. And it operated in an entire circle so that we were all connected and we were all not above each other in the way that the hierarchy is today. So I have a present in there which is not supposed to be there. I think it's Asian actually. But when I was putting those in, I couldn't take it out because I've already done that. So if you can see within our geographic environments, the plants and animals that were natural to that environment is the way that we pretty well established ourselves, how we lived, and the respect for survival of each group. So love and respect was very integral to our whole system. And then of course there's the language. Here we are. The way my mother described the language, because she didn't want us to learn it, but she said it was, it's more of an energy. She said it's like a deep pool of water, and you can understand on whatever level that your thinking is on, but it goes all the way down like a deep pool. And she said it's an energy. If you say, like for instance, love, if you've ever fallen in love, then you have a different energy, and you can hear songs and they sound different than, you know, ordinarily you're just going along and, oh, that's a nice song, but it sounds different because it's an energy. And that's how the language was, she said. It was, the whole world was there, open in front of your eyes, from the mountains to the trees to how everything connected. It was a very beautiful way, but she still wouldn't teach us the language. So this is at the base of our matriarch, is the language and importance. And when we talk about decolonization, then we go through the whole circle and back to the language again. Language, and then the ancestors are at the roots, and whenever we pray, we always pray and support our ancestors because they're still helping us and they're still there. So and then our songs that are very important and tied in with our ceremonies and our dances, and they're all there to support our foundation and our base. Because as you pray, and as we do, your voice comes from your heart and your soul, and in a song, it comes out and it goes through the air. And as you're praying, we're the only ones that can have positive, concentrated thought. So as it comes out, it's like a code that floats through the air on light, and it gets to the plants and the animals, and that's how we maintain the balance of land and life. And it was our responsibility daily to do this, to pray, because the plants and animals and everything depended on it. And also, sunrise was our real important time, because this way it went worldwide as it went, because your sound travels on light and goes to the sun, and as the world turns, all the positive codes come back to the plants and animals and to the people. So sunrise was a very important time for all of this. And then just to what happened, you know, after living in our very beautiful and wonderful life, had to go through the genocide. And you can really track what happens in the genocide if you've ever studied European history. You can find out who they were and why. Because the same practices that they did to their own people in Europe with all the Christian wars, and there were wars upon wars, they destroyed their own indigenous cultures and societies. So it was pretty intentional what they did and when they came here. So these are just kind of the end of that time as they pushed us onto the reservations, and then of course the genocide wounded me kind of marked and in time for that. But also they passed the civilization rules and regulations, and it took away all of our ceremonies, languages, and dances. It was all illegal to practice at that time. So the way that it was expressed, you know, a blackout, he expressed it as the circle hoop, the hoop of life was broken. And it's been expressed in many different ways of what happened at that time, about 1880s into the 1890s. It just totally devastated us as we were wiped out. And they took a lot of the leaders and put them in prisons or killed them. And what was left was mainly just the women. I mean, they were held incarcerated as well, but then they moved on to passing more legislation to put all the children into Christian and government boarding schools. And then there's just one of the pictures. Anyway, the boarding schools and a lot of horrible things happened to our people, you know, went through the all the abuse, the physical, sexual, mental abuses that happened, the deaths that happened to the children. But our children are pretty well held in, held there, you know, so that the older people, the chiefs and everyone would not wage any war. They were kind of like, you know, they're held there like that. And then totally brainwashed. And a lot of people had to get through that situation, but this started the whole colonization process. Can I go up anymore? No, down. No, I've already go down so you can see this. Go down, yeah. So here's kind of this process that I believe one of our first speakers, Mike, was talking about. He had this line drawn through there, and this is kind of a model of a civilization, which is the colonization process, where we came from the matriarchy here in our circle of life, and you've heard from a lot of good presenters on all of this. And then we're going through this whole process into the patriarchy, which is a hierarchy of oppression. And this is what we're living in today, and it's all made up. It's not anything that is natural necessarily, because this is the natural life. We practice the laws of nature. All indigenous societies worldwide practiced the matriarchy. And what that is the balance of male and female. It's not, you know, all of, you know, like the females rule, although we always work at it. And so this process, this model goes all the way through into the patriarchy. And then you can also go back. You can also go back to your roots and learn again. So it's not just a one-way street. We can make it go both ways. I'll go down. So this is what we're living in today. This is the other side. This is the hierarchy. And in the hierarchy, this is pretty much how we're set up under the government. Here's where we are. We're under the Secretary of Interior. There's 15 cabinet offices, and that's appointed by the president. Then it goes down, all the departments that are under the Department of Interior. And then we get here to the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and then the 12 area offices, the 83 agency offices, and the 565 IRA tribal governments. So we're at the very bottom level of this whole hierarchy, and on the federal side. Now the state side right here, I know Montana has made some really good inroads into the state sides, but usually, you know, we get left out of this whole process because the funding, you know, goes through this side. And here's their court systems right in the middle. But ours over here, it's all federal, and that's how we get cut out of the whole state funding that's meant for tribes, because they count us. We're part of their population within the state, and we're counted. So that's how we lose money there, because there's no way for us to elect, as you can see on the federal side. We can't elect any of these people. It goes, because these are all appointments, presidential appointments, so we can't, you know, we have no say or any control over our side of it, which is the federal side. Only through the state side can we have any input. And I know that I would say Montana is probably far surpassed in being involved in the state government side to make those differences and those changes, which is totally incredible. And I think that maybe because of the size, the population that you have here in Montana, that you're having such a good input into the system like that. But really proud of all you guys from Montana. I'm just, you know, I think that's absolutely wonderful that you can have the kind of input and in, do you want to go next one? Wanted to talk a little bit about this because, you know, that hierarchy of the government that I showed you, that is only one part. And that part is classified under the welfare system. And that's why there's always so much of a fight between the government, the social institutions, the educational institutions, because there's these three branches, and the corporations are one branch, and the small businesses, which is the middle class, is the other branch, and everybody else is classified as the welfare state. So if you can understand how they have it all divided, you can see why the corporations are pretty well much in control when they can buy off this side, which is the government. So with those different institutions, it's difficult, but go up there to the tribal nations, because there we are on the tree. But it looks very different. And if you go to the next one. I'll tell you the difference here in a second, but this one here is just to remind us, you know, this symbol here, a lot of the tribes have that symbol within. And what that means, of course, is it represents the four nations of humankind, the black, white, red, and yellow. And we're all encircled within that same spiritual circle. So we still have the opportunity to try to work with everybody within that circle. It's just that so many others have already been, like say in Europe, what happened over there, they've already been colonized, and they worked under another system and a different kind of mentality. So So we go back to the decolonization. And what I just talked about was the process of colonization, because you have to know what colonization is before you can talk about what decolonization is about. So decolonization is exactly what you're doing. You're working with the languages. And that's absolutely supreme, because that's what is at the base of this whole tree. It's right in our roots. And we just need to make sure that we add, and I've seen it all here, the songs, the prayers, and then we have the dances. So everything is coming back, and that is decolonization in a nutshell. It's indigenizing ourselves and our people and our way of thinking, because Western mainstream thinking is not connected to the earth. They don't do prayers. They do prayers, but it's all about God and Christianity, and that's fine for, people who have been Christianized, but it's, the prayers are a little bit different, because in the indigenous way of thinking, it's always, for our ancestors and the plants and animals, and you know how all those prayers go. So that's what we depend on, are those prayers, and that's the main strength and force that we have that puts us on another level. And as Native people, we have that ability to change all the negative into a positive. And as people and as tribes, we can do it. And you're all involved in that process. And within the educational institution as well. So you're doing exactly what needs to be done. And I think that this workshop and everything today just represents all of that, with all of the voices that have been heard and all of the presentations that have been made, is extremely valuable. And it's going to, I understand it's all going to be on a website, so you can always go back and look at it. And this is just a way, to look at it, where we start and how we go through this whole process and where we're at now. But the thing is our tree is very different now. And that happened right here, where it was cut off at the base, when the sacred hoop was broken. And we brought that circle back together again. So the sacred hoop is no longer broken. It's back together, and it's just a matter of strengthening the whole process and everything that everybody is doing. So the way that the tree looks, and I couldn't find I'd have to draw one. But if you think about it, if it's cut off right here at the base, you know what that looks like, right? Where we're cut off. And then where it starts growing again from the roots. Have you ever seen a tree that's been cut off at the base and all the roots are growing out, and the stems and the leaves? If you've ever seen that, that's more of what we look like today. And that's why things are so different. We'll never be the way that it was, but we will still be alive, and we will still be growing. And because we don't have all those things that connect us like that, we're pretty well out there like that. And that's why we have to unite and work together. And if you can imagine, say, a circle in the middle, one little circle, representing us as a tribe, as people within a clan, or, and as individuals, we are part of that. And then you go to the next circle, there's, imagine another circle around that. And then you go to our race of people. As a people, we're a race. And then you go up to the next level, and then you see everybody, all the people. And then you go to the next level, which is the fourth level, and that's our universal selves, where we're just the human race. So it's good, you know, to start as tribes and clans and bands and groups, and then you just start expanding on, and you just keep going until we become that ultimate circle where we're all humankind again, and that's the process as well. So I know that a lot of times we get into tribalism, where we're, you know, my tribe's better than yours and all of that. I've heard a lot of that throughout my travels. But, you know, we just need to start uniting more and working with each other more, which this workshop is absolutely doing, uniting a lot of people and a lot of tribes and a lot of people, which is absolutely wonderful. It has the whole concept of unity, which is the strength. In order to be very strong, we have to unite and we have to work together with each other. Because once we can see the problem and the issue, and then we can, you know, be able to not see each other as so much as being different from each other, but we can start working together, uniting our forces and our minds together. So this, I looked for, I tried to find in our computers, which are very colonized, for words, and I couldn't find the word colonized. We looked that up and we couldn't find a definition for that. So I was wondering if any of you had a real good definition of how you would say we are being colonized, because, you know, when we're on our reservations and working with tribal governments, and everybody is so much a part of that bureaucracy, and, you know, you can't get anything unless you have a notarized statement from this other person who said it's okay that you can pick up this piece of property or whatever it is that you're doing. You know, that's all part of that bureaucratic process. Do you have one?
Yeah, I looked it up on my phone. Colonize, a verb of a country or its citizens send a group of settlers to a place and establish political control over it. The Greeks colonized Sicily and southern Italy, come to settle among and establish political control over the indigenous people of an area. It also says a white family that tries to colonize a Caribbean island. Appropriate, a place or domain for one's own use. Ecology, of a plant or animal establish itself in an area. Mussels can colonize even the most rocks. Inhospitable rock surfaces. So yeah.
Well, you have to right off your phone. And what did we look on our phones? We did.
And I pulled up the Webster Dictionary.
Yeah. So we tried to find, you know, what they were saying colonized was, and it wasn't as complete as that one, but that's pretty good. But we know what we're talking about when we're dealing with people who have that mentality, and that's the difference between say indigenous way of thinking or an indigenous perspective and ideology, because ours is connected to the earth with all the respect with all the prayers, with all the love, with all the unity that we all work together. So that's why our way of thinking was very different, because we went from the natural laws. We knew when the leaves on the tree turns red and gold, we know, okay, winter's coming. You know, we didn't say, let's take another month or so and we fall. Can't do that. The natural laws are there, and they operate, they're in place. But with Western mentality, it's very different. It's like the time change. You can set your hour back or hour ahead, whatever. But we deal with that every day, and it's a difficult world to live in, because if you have that Western mentality, then that's the driving forces within the educational institutions, and it's very difficult to be both and to maintain that balance of the two. I mean, I have that, I go through that all the time, but I think my indigenous ways are stronger than the others. So unfortunately, I have this background as well. So I could never, well, I did work in a university for a little while, but they would not hire me. I had to be adjunct, and I wouldn't do it. They had a whole department of Native American Studies and would not hire one full-time Native person. And I argued with them and told them that as long as you have non-Indians teaching Native American Studies, there's always going to be misinformation, stereotypes, and lies that go on. But what they do is they borrow from the other departments, and it's okay for the facts, like say in history, if you're doing historical facts and things like that, but it still doesn't give the perspective of what actually happened. You know, it'll give you dates and the cavalry and what they did, but you still don't get it. And that isn't why we fought for Native American studies or Indigenous studies or Third World studies. That's not the reason why we did that. We fought to get our own people in there and aligned to start teaching the real information, to start teaching the truth. Because if you work within an educational institution of higher education, you want the truth. You don't want all this colonized version and lies of things that have happened, and unfortunately that's the way it's going. The government itself, the U.S. Constitution, you know, yes, we did have our people there to assist with that, with the Iroquois Confederation, and they had the whole system set up, the separation of powers and the different branches that they had. Women there also, and of course the U.S. government did not want women involved at all, and women were taken out, so there was never a balance. And women are fighting to this day to be recognized within the system, to get a balance, but there has never been that balance reached yet. And also, they wanted the ceremonies, the spiritual ways intact, but of course they wouldn't do that, because Christianity is man-made, the same as the patriarchal government is. It's all man-made. It's not a natural way of life. And unfortunately, and it's not anybody's fault of what happened, you know, and becoming colonized, becoming Christianized. We're all working to become ourselves now. We're all working to become more indigenous. And I would say that the basis of it is our prayers. That's our strength. And that's what gives us the ability to transform and change things around. Plus, we have all the medicines. You know, you see all these goofy shows on TV and all about, what are they called? They're like, where they have spirits come in and they're
Ghost hunters?
ghost hunters and all of that. I mean, gee, get some sage or do some prayers, you know, see to that place, you know, do what you need to do. But we have ways of taking care of things, and I know non-Indians don't have access to that. They don't know that, but we do, and that's why we are so blessed, you know, as a people and as groups. And we just need to unite our forces and continue going on. But I'm so thankful and happy to be here. And I appreciate the time, although I don't know that much of my language, but I appreciate it, and I'm still learning. You know, as people, we're learning every day. Just keep our minds open. And to all the energies as well that are out there that are good, all the positive energies, and just maintain our positive will and our positive ways. And we can be strong again. So I want to thank you. And if there's any questions, I'm willing to talk about it if you want to. Don't have any questions? Yes.
You know, on that page where you said genocide, I would change it to ethnic cleansing.
Yeah.
Because that's precisely what it was. And when there were problems when Yugoslavia became unglued, the U.S. was always saying ethnic cleansing, as though they had never, that's the first time they ever heard about it. But we're products of that. It's time for them to understand that word. Without it, I don't think they will change their attitudes towards us or their policies.
I know. It's very difficult. I went to the historic trauma workshops, which was good. You know, from the Jewish commissions that were held, and they've come up with some really good ideas that, you know, we could incorporate ourselves, you know, for our own, in terms of the kinds of damage that was done. You see, what did I tell you it was? It was moral,
Material.
and there's one other one. That was one I had to look at and I didn't remember.
Where they actually did the action of killing them.
Physical.
Physical.
Yeah, okay, the actual physical cleansing, but they have some concepts that we can study and learn as well and develop for our own people. And I understand right now that they are trying to pursue that whole era, the whole issue of boarding schools and what happened in those boarding schools. And I believe Native American Rights Fund is initiating that one as well. So I didn't go to their 45th anniversary of Native American Rights Fund. They had their anniversary. That was one of the topics, was the boarding school damages that they're looking at. So we've made a lot of progress, and at the same time, when I look at it, I can see that we've come back a few steps, and then we surge on ahead. It's like, it's very difficult because of the politics and the control that still exists, but you guys are doing a good job. Thank you very much. Is that time correct?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I'm ahead of myself. Thank you.
All right, we'll do the raffle, then prayer, then our song performance. I know some people might want a prayer before the raffle, but we'll give it a chance. So I'll have Danny come in. She has the gifts. So anybody with raffle tickets, feel free to dig them out.
Our names are on them, but will that work?
Yeah, the names.
Yeah.
Don't read them. Unless it's mine.
$10
Just check it out. He's looking.
And a reminder about the OPI forms.
Continuing education, if you have those, you need to leave them with us. So there's a folder out on the table where you can stick the completed forms. Also, there is a survey on the table, just about the conference today, any suggestions you have, how you thought it went. We'd really appreciate your feedback so we can plan accordingly next year. And then finally, there's what was the sign-in sheet is now an email list. If you'd like to be on the Sacred Roots email for future events, please put your email address down there.
All right. So the first item for raffle is the $10 Starbucks along with the free t-shirt.
So very fan. Mike DeRozier. Is that why I agreed?
Well, there's nepotism, I swear. Danny can draw the next one.
Relatives in here, so it's okay.
I think I'm related to half the room.
You can read this one.
Desiree Killigal winning the $25. Oh, the art piece. So next will be a $25 gift card.
Visa gift card. Dustin Monroe.
Gotta be present.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that's what some people want.
Well, I guess you don't have to be good.
No, that's
You're
my phone. Very nice. Another 25. And there's another one though.
There's one more $25 gift card anywhere, as long as it's Walmart. Just kidding. Carla Bird. Next up will be the artist print. Donated by Alan Noses Gun, a Salaga artist.
Jared Kipp.
Blackpink TP.
So now we have the Gabriel Iglesias tickets. Care.
It's 2 tickets for the fluffy performance tonight this evening.
Doors open at 6:30.
You got time.
Ken Flamin. Get your ticket.
We have one more donated item from our performer tonight. He also does leather work. We're trying to promote some local native artists from the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation.
Good timing.
Well, now it's a lot of pressure.
Dana Wilson.
I think they left, actually.
All right.
All right.
So now I'll have a prayer done by the Blackfoot instructor.
should be kind to give us a closing prayer and then our song performance by Kevin Kicking-Moment, and Catlin Clifford will close us out with musical performance.
We'll say the prayer to close the conference, and if you can all pray in your own way, it'll just make it a little more stronger for everyone. So I'll start it off in my language, but everyone else can say it in your own language. Ayu napi natusi, ayu kita ketu kumikisi, ayu nikisuasi, tortu kisuasi, ayu stumokini, ayu mokukumi, ishkitika mixi, istumokini anake, anhokatek stabiwaki, masakina wamutu, ukamixis piaki. Ako kanawakyapi skatumia wani kanesukapi, ani otsimatupuawast, iskumo sawaki, akitama tepsiksikas stimia upuaya, mokiteka yisapis, pawakyakitam kane, akyapi skatumia wani kanesukapi, ayus kumo saki, matapik sanutski manwamik, sakatitam kane miyawik. Ayu kimatu kita kinapinatu sino kito tayo matsumbikans. Nokto desko mo sa kiniksistano pagkikix no po 6 neso po 6 ay takistameno sipina. Ayu kimatu kinanis peda piuban nito kanitsto kipinani noksto mo sa waki anyo stapa po kakpiak panesu kapi kitay kayistiko itawaki nokkutsisani kanesu kapi. Yanin sa kursi, nokkuikuyaki, kamutan misami petapis and nishtawaps.
We're going to close with our society song, same way we opened our conference, and then some music performance. So everybody can move their feet if they'd like.
We'll start and end with a song. I'm going to sing a song that I heard Chief Earl Olberson sing, and asked if I could use it. So it's kind of a creative prayer song.
We'll close it out with our special guest performance from our artist. Comes all the way in from Heinrich, South Dakota. Heinrich.
Talking about tribalism, I said my girlfriend's from Rosebud Reservation. My name's Catlin Clifford. I'm from the Badlands on the Pine Ridge Reservation, so not actually in town. But I guess bull rider, songwriter, I'm an artist of all different sorts. I guess I just want to be free is all it is. This first song is I wrote on a hiking trip. Found a feather in the grass, and anybody who knows find a feather in the grass, how good it makes you feel. Just just at that moment. And so I wrote this song. Check it out. Feather in the grass, put your hands in the past. Once it's flying, fall. Memory of a free life. Staying home, without it. It's free as the wind, touching ground when I can. Yeah, I'm grounded, surrounded. So good. Just go down in this world. It changes, more south. Let's all go. Get lost in a dream. Let it go. Go away. Memories, passing trees, on the highway, travel, have a way, making me feel way back, or out on the road, and go behind you. On a two-track, zero level, out on the night, with a moonlight blue. I found a way to find more than answers. Let's all go. Get lost in our way. Let it go. I had the opportunity in being in a movie or a feature film actually called Songs My Brothers Taught Me. It was a film. The director, she's Chinese from Beijing, come over, and she grew up in kind of like a tough lifestyle, and she was intrigued by just the lifestyle on the reservation, and told me stories a bunch how they related similarly. And so she wanted to tell the story, and not so much about the poverty and all the negatives, but how much life there was on the reservation, even though there was all these hardships. And of course, that's an easy story to take and tell somebody else and have the heart felt. So I did a little bit of acting. I'm not really that good of an actor, really, but did a bit of that, and played some music in it, and I also wrote a song for the ending credits. And she asked me to write a song how I felt growing up on the reservation. So this one's called "High Lonesome Ride Home." Right along out across this flat. Thoughts lie on the soul's bed. Catching on top of the head. Technically this whole Jimmy is well. This place it seems comes about and change. The problem I see continues on in blanks. Memories keep it all the same. Strings amongst the pain, threads to change. I get back to life. I got to make that change. Like a gypsy on the go, I just can't stay on my way back home. So I can see my mom. I like to be on the track. Go, let's go, the plane. And it ain't seasons come and go. My life is on the road. Chasing down the dream of the young. Seasons come and go. My life is on the road. Chasing down the dream of the young. What do we got?
Good enough for another one.
Another one? Come on, yes. I'm still working on this one, but I really want to show you guys. This one's about killing custard. From growing up as a kid, like I always thought, man, that custard, I was always just flustered about it. I could never. And here, if I would have just looked in the mirror, I didn't look far from custard. But I grew up with that mentality, like hating that guy for what he done. Come to find out, like later on, doing some research in history, he was actually kind of a nice guy to the tribes around the place, around the area. He was ordered by the government to get out of there because he was going to be a president, I guess. But he didn't want to. He wanted to help whatever they were going to do. So he went in there and got defeated. If he would have just listened to the government, I guess he would have still been alive. But nonetheless, there's millions of Lakota people, to say the least, that dislike him. And so I wrote a song about it. If I was there in that day and age, if green-eyed Lakota boy, I would be probably trying to find my way to kill that guy. So I wrote a song about it. I woke up with the stars and I rose to the sun. Sat under my heart and I pulled from my gun. Rode on down the creek to see where to go. So I'm a green-eyed winding through the Badlands just yesterday, fighting at the hills of the 7th Cavalry. They don't have a clue what I'm supposed to do. Step that damn general, and that's how I want to be. Driving on the trail, I was just a tree. Trying to kill everyone, stop me, and I'll be damned. Keep more I see here, and I'll be the man down here. Roll out and see it. Watching that fly, That's the first time I've performed that one. What better place, huh? Let's see, I'll play. I wrote this one on Badger. Down in Badger, doing some cabin. It's probably -30. But Johnson's, they live about, what, 15 miles from town, down there on that Badger Creek there. Yeah. That's where I met Jesse, was just staying with some friends up in Montana, or up here in the mountains. And met a lot of good buddies. Yeah, I wrote this song there. It's called Reason. It's about rodeo. Reason. After things I love, I find more reason for my love. Reason after things I love, I find more reason for my love. Driving out of town, destination I you through with the changes, chasing the scene of a cowboy. Every scene, oh, every scene. Feels right when I'm trying on my fears that feel and get out. We have lived the streets. Yeah, my own. Yeah, I'm going with the pocket full of joy. I'm going to do a lot of fun every week. Yeah, what's my own? After things I know, I'll find a reason for my love. on the bed. If I did this dream, and I probably should dream. I'm trying never put it on the person. To live my life, yeah. This is what I'm dreaming. I do it for the rest of the day. I'm lighting up the phone and the camera puts on with the sound. Right now, so we can possibly and I think I'm going out on me. Yeah, I'm on reason.
Thank you. And if anyone's interested in Cat Clifford's music, you download on SoundCloud.
Yeah, there's and most of it's on SoundCloud.com. Just a place to put files on, I guess. So there's one song on iTunes. You can search Cat Clifford. It's called Outlaw Bucker. It's about a bucking horse. It's a metaphor for myself, actually. It's about a bucking horse in the Badlands. Pretty cool. That's the only song that's on there now, but I've been in the studio for, I guess, about a month now. So hopefully have something new pretty soon.
This final announcement, if anybody loved that fry bread so much they want to make it themselves at home, there's extra dough left over in 8 small containers. If anybody wants to pick one up
No, sorry.
in that kitchen area. But let's give our music performer one last round of applause.
Sunny left right now. the first time I performed that one. What better place, huh? Let's see, I'll play, I wrote this one on Badger. Down in Badger, it was in a cabin. It's probably -30. Johnson's, they live about, what, 15 miles from town, down around that Badger Creek there. Yeah. That's where I met Jesse, was just staying with some friends up in Montana, or up here in the mountains. And met a lot of good buddies. Yeah, I wrote this song there. It's called Reason. It's about rodeo. Reason. After things I know, I find no reason for my love. Reason. After things I know, I find no reason for my love. Driving out of town, destination fire through with the changes, chasing the scene of a cowboy. Take every street, oh, every street. Feels right when I'm treading on my feet, I'm feeling down with them living the streets. Yeah, finally. Yeah, I'm going to the pocket for the door, and I'm going to do a lot of fun every week. Yeah, we're finally. After things I know, I'll find a way for my love. Live my life, yeah. This is I'm dreaming. I do it for the love I'm lighting up the phone and the camera all the time. Writing every song we can possibly and I think I'm going out on the yeah, I'm no reason.
Thank you. And if anyone's interested in Cat Clifford's music, you download it on SoundCloud.
Yeah, there's and most of it's on SoundCloud.com. Just a place to put files on, I guess. So there's one song on iTunes. You could search Cat Clifford. It's called Outlaw Bucker. It's about a bucking horse. It's a metaphor for myself, actually. It's about a bucking horse in the Badlands. Pretty cool. That's the only song that's on there now, but I've been in the studio for, I guess, about a month now. So hopefully have something new pretty soon.
This final announcement, if anybody loved that fry bread so much they want to make it themselves at home, there's extra dough left over in 8 small containers. If anybody wants to pick one up
No, sorry.
in that kitchen area. But let's give our music performer one last round of applause.
Send me that right now.